Today, Tesla stock reached an all-time high. Now, I could pretend to be surprised, I could pretend to be excited, but I am neither of those things because this was inevitable. Now, I'm not in the business of making short-term predictions, so when? Who knows? But it was never a question of if, and it's still early, in my opinion. Turns out, patience pays. I really don't think investing's that difficult. If you can identify a big opportunity over the long term and not get swept up in emotional tidal waves and consensus opinions, just sticking to your guns, it's really not that complicated. Here's a video some guy with 3 first names posted back in 2019. The title was Why I'm All In on Tesla Stock. This was 6 years ago. In that video, toward the end, wrapping it up, he said, "If I'm being honest, I think in 2030, everyone will be calling me lucky." Now, why would a guy talking about Tesla and why he's all in on Tesla stock post a video in 2019 referencing 2030, unless he was looking out a decade plus into the future and saw some major opportunity? Therefore, it's not exactly difficult to avoid getting swept up in the panic when you're looking out 10 plus years and going, holy fuck, dude, no one has any idea what's coming. After posting this video, a bunch of people in the comments said, bro, you sound exactly like Peter Lynch. Of course, my first thought was, who the fuck is that? My second thought was, hang on, let me find out. My third thought was, holy shit, they have a point. You be the judge.
I don't believe in diversification at all. I would own one stock if I could find one great stock. Diversification is a big mistake. I call it diversification.
Did somebody say finding one great stock? Well, it turns out I personally believe I've done that. Shout out to the 2019 video explaining why I was all in on that one great stock and still am today, and have been buying since I posted that video for the whole 6 years, non-stop hand over fist with every spare cent. Now, I do want to add a little bit of a clarification. I don't completely agree with Peter Lynch here. There's a caveat. Diversification is great if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And in fairness, a lot of people don't know what the fuck they're doing. Now, personally, if I do end up with what appears to be a well-diversified portfolio at some point in the future, by the way, currently, give or take 90+% of my net worth is in Tesla. Got some real estate as well. If I do end up with what appears to be a diversified portfolio in the future, it's not going to be because I was concerned about concentration risk. It's just going to simply be a side effect or a consequence of having seen a few opportunities over time, invested aggressively, and continue to hold. If that continues to repeat and repeat and repeat over enough decades, far enough into the future, I could have what appears to be a very well-diversified portfolio, but not because I was trying to protect myself against ignorance, simply as a consequence of long-term buy and hold. Now, a lot of people get triggered by these kind of statements, but I want to be clear. I'm not telling anyone else what they should do. I'm just explaining my thinking, like I did back in 2019, explaining why I was all in on Tesla stock. The opposite of the investment advice of 99.999% of people out there. Now, you do have to feel for fund managers because you're not going to have any clients if you're heavily concentrated, because people are outsourcing their thinking and they're investing to you, and you need to protect them. Therefore, you must diversify, at least a little. The great Ron Barron, who we'll hear from shortly, has admitted that he got a lot of pushback from investors after his funds owned a fuck ton of Tesla stock, and then Tesla stock went up, 10, 15, 20 times. Getting so much pressure that they had to sell a little bit just to appease investors. But had they just held, again, Tesla stock now at all-time highs. But if you really want to know, don't look at what Ron Barron's funds do. Look at what Ron Barron personally has done. And spoiler alert, if you don't know, the bro, his personal net worth is unbelievably concentrated in Musk-led projects. I'll try my best not to interrupt once and just share a few thoughts at the end of this clip. Might be difficult, but let's see if I can pull it off.
What exactly is it about Elon Musk that first drew you to investing in him as a person and then the companies that he manages?
Oh, he's brilliant. That's obvious. And when we first met him in 2010, when he was going public, we thought we'd like to invest with him, but I thought it was unlikely. We thought it was unlikely he was going to be successful, where he's doing a couple of thousand cars a year, and he thought that he could do 20 million cars a year. And it didn't seem reasonable, but we continued to, after meeting with him for a couple or 3 hours the first time, we continued to follow him, visit him, talk with him regularly, and the executives who worked in his company. In 2014, when it became obvious that his cars were meeting very strong demand, we invested between 2014 and 16, $400 million, and we made about $8 billion in that so far. And then in 2017, we were following SpaceX all along. In fact, when I was in the 1960s, I worked in the United States Patent Office. I chose to work there instead of going to Vietnam. I had a draft exempt job. sounded like a better deal to me. So when I was there, my art was chemicals. I was a chemical graduate in college. And so I was the person who in the 1960s gave patents for all the coatings that went on nose cones that wouldn't burn up when they came back to Earth. Anyway, so 2017, I started doing research in the 60s. And in 2017, we began to invest in Tesla, in SpaceX, and we've invested about $1.5 billion so far, and that's now worth about $10 billion. And we think that it's likely they could go public next summer sometime, and the valuation has been reported in the press. It could be $1.5 trillion valuation. Right now it's $800 billion. A week ago it was $400 billion. So how come? What separates them apart? What separates them apart, I attended a board meeting, and they asked me to come to New York to meet with a number of board members about, a few weeks ago. And we were talking about Elon and how young people, they are just dying to work there. And so they have about 120,000 people and maybe 30,000 hires a year. And to get 30,000 people, there are several million people apply for 30,000 jobs a year, several million. And then the chairman of Tesla was telling me that they come there. We were asking about what do they come here for? And he goes into these meetings. He'll take 30 or 40 young people or senior people in any one discipline that they're working on, whether it's software, whether it's hardware, takes them into a room and for a couple hours, and goes around and talks to everyone and asks them questions about what they're doing, and keeps getting deeper and deeper. Initially it's general, and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then at the end of the meeting, the people walk out of that room, especially if they're first-time engineers. They walk out of the room and they're shaking their heads and say, "Can you believe what we've learned? Can you believe what we've just heard? I am so glad I survived that meeting." So basically, the people who work there are saying they come there because they want to work with this person. Now, of course, the early on, if you're investing in Tesla, it's a great risk when you're relying upon one person like that. But now when you have 120, 130,000 people and the business is growing exponentially, no longer linearly, then what happens is, as you get larger and larger and larger, the risk of one person diminishes. And what you've invested in is a company with a culture. And the culture is what we try to discover. This First Principles is all about. What you're trying to discover is what's been instilled in these people, that he gives responsibility to talented people, and talented people unleashes them. And if you got a better idea than what I thought was the best idea, show it to me. And if you can prove that it works, even though I just invested 20 or 30 or $50 million in another way to do it, if you show me something better, we'll throw that out and start all over again. And so he's not afraid to fail. And basically that's what he does over and over again. So you're looking for personality traits among these people in whom we're investing that make it likely they're going to be successful, in our opinion.
Some brilliant insights from Ron, and I've got to give myself a pat on the back for actually making it through the whole clip without interrupting. That's a first. Key among Ron's points: culture of the companies, e.g. the DNA of the company. It's no longer early days for Tesla. They're printing money, they're in a dominant position, not just with electric vehicles, but they built a platform for robotaxis and the humanoid robots. Go to sleep, wake up in 10 years, Tesla's killing it. That may not have been true 15 years ago, but it is today. Back to the earlier clip of Peter Lynch, who said if he could just find one great stock. Well, spoiler alert, a big part of that is discovering a generational leader like Musk, whose track record now is indisputable. It's fair to say that Elon Musk is MVP of Earth. I'm not blowing smoke up the guy's ass. Look at his track record. Look at his results across multiple domains. You can't argue this point. This is why Musk has so many passionate haters, because he's doing so much, having such a massive impact, and they can't handle it. There's never been another Elon Musk. We no longer need to speculate. We have a crystal clear, multi-decade track record across multiple domains. The guy doing impossible things over and over and over. In conclusion, I'll see you guys in 2030. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.